The phone call came on December 10th, exactly 2 weeks before Christmas Eve dinner at my parents' estate in Greenwich, Connecticut. "Rachel, we need to talk about the holidays," Mom said, her voice carrying that particular tone she reserved for uncomfortable conversations. Not angry. Not sad. Just diplomatic. I was in my office at the time, reviewing third-quarter projections for my company's enterprise clients. I put my pen down. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong, sweetheart. It's just that this year is special. Your cousin Jessica is bringing her fiancé, Bradford Ashworth III, to Christmas Eve dinner." She paused. "The Ashworths are old money, Rachel. Bradford's grandfather founded Ashworth Industries. His family has been in the social register since 1927. I waited. "Jessica is very nervous about making a good impression with his family. And Bradford's parents will be joining us as well. It's essentially a pre-wedding family merger dinner." Another pause. "Your Aunt Caroline thinks it would be best if we kept things streamlined. Just immediate family who can speak to the family's success and standing." "I am immediate family, Mom." "Of course you are, darling. But you have to understand, Bradford's family moves in very particular circles. Old money has different expectations. Jessica is worried that having someone there who's still struggling to establish themselves might send the wrong message about our family's status." The words hit exactly as intended. Still struggling to establish themselves. That's what my family had called me for the past 8 years. I'd graduated from MIT with a degree in computer science. Started working at a small tech startup in Boston. Lived in a modest apartment in Cambridge. Drove a 10-year-old Honda Civic. Wore clothes from Target. To my family, my hedge fund manager father, my socialite mother, my corporate lawyer brother, and my doctor sister, I looked like failure. The embarrassing relative who'd chosen the wrong path. What they didn't know was that the small tech startup I'd joined in 2015 was a company I'd co-founded with 2 MIT classmates. A company called Novice Analytics that specialized in AI-driven enterprise data security solutions. What they didn't know was that I owned 31% of the company. What they didn't know was that Novice Analytics had just closed a $340 million Series D funding round in October, valuing the company at $1.8 billion. What they didn't know was that my personal stake was now worth approximately $558 million. What they didn't know was that Forbes had been following our growth for 18 months and had scheduled me for a profile interview in their 30 Under 30 issue, releasing Christmas morning. I'd kept everything quiet for strategic reasons. In the beginning, I wanted to build something without family pressure or interference. My father had very specific ideas about acceptable careers. Finance, law, medicine. Technology, entrepreneurship wasn't on the list. As Novice grew, I maintained the silence to test something. I wanted to see if my family would value me for who I was rather than what I'd accomplished. I wanted to see if they'd show up for me when I appeared to have nothing. They didn't. Every family gathering became a performance of casual cruelty. My brother Derek would ask loudly, "Still at that little startup?" My sister Amanda would forget to include me in family photos. My father would sigh heavily whenever I spoke. And my mother would smile apologetically and say things like, "Rachel's still finding herself." Now apparently I'd become too embarrassing to attend Christmas. "So you're uninviting me," I said calmly. "We're not uninviting you, sweetheart. We're just asking you to understand that this particular dinner is very important for Jessica's future. Her entire life trajectory depends on this relationship with the Ashworth family. We can't risk anything that might jeopardize that. Anything like me. Rachel, please don't be dramatic. We'll do something special, just you and me, after the holidays. We can have lunch at that little cafe you like in Cambridge." That little cafe was actually a Michelin-starred restaurant where I'd held our Series C announcement dinner. But Mom had never asked about my life enough to know that. "It's fine, Mom. I understand." "You do? Oh, thank goodness. I knew you'd be reasonable about this. You're so good at understanding these things." After we hung up, I sat in my corner office, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor, and made a decision. I pulled up my contacts and called my publicist, Marcus Chen. "Marcus, the Forbes profile. When does it go live?" "Digital edition drops Christmas morning at 6 a.m. Eastern. Print edition hits newsstands the same day." "Why?" "I need you to make sure it gets maximum distribution." Contact everyone on our media list. Make sure every major outlet knows it's coming. Rachel, it's already going to be huge. Forbes 30 under 30-foot always trends. But yeah, I can amplify. What's the occasion? Just making sure my family can find it, I said. The 8 years between MIT graduation and that phone call had been carefully constructed. I'd met my co-founders David Park and Jennifer Wu in our junior year. We'd all been working on different aspects of cybersecurity research. Jennifer was brilliant with encryption algorithms. David could spot vulnerabilities in any system within minutes. I specialized in machine learning applications for threat detection. We started Novice Analytics in Jennifer's basement apartment with $47,000 we'd scraped together from summer internship savings and a small grant from MIT's entrepreneurship program. Our first product was crude but functional. An AI system that could learn normal network behavior and flag anomalies in real time. We sold it to 3 small businesses in our first year for a total of $180,000 in revenue. My family thought I was working as a junior developer at a tech company. I deliberately kept my explanation vague. I'm doing security software development. Technically true. Year 2, we landed our first major client. A regional bank that wanted better fraud detection. Revenue hit $1.2 million. We hired our first 5 employees. My family asked why I didn't have a nicer apartment yet. Year 3, we developed our breakthrough product. A self-learning threat detection system that could predict attacks before they happened. We called it Sentinel. A Fortune 500 healthcare company bought an enterprise license for $8 million. I bought a newer used car, a 2015 Toyota Camry. My father asked why I wasn't driving a BMW like my siblings. Year 4, Sentinel went viral in enterprise security circles. We signed 12 major contracts totaling $64 million. We raised our Series A, $25 million from a respected VC firm. I moved to a nicer apartment in Cambridge. 2 bedrooms instead of 1. My mother asked when I'd buy a real house like Amanda had. Year 5, we expanded internationally. Offices in London, Singapore, and Sydney. Revenue hit $180 million. Series B funding brought in $95 million at a $620 million valuation. I bought a small condo near MIT. Nothing flashy. Comfortable. My brother asked if I needed money for a down payment on a real place. Year 6, we became the industry standard. If you were a major corporation handling sensitive data, you used Novice Analytics. Our client list included 47 Fortune 500 companies. Revenue $340 million. Series C. $180 million at a $1.1 billion valuation. We'd become a unicorn. I wore the same Target clothes to family dinners. Year 7, expansion into government contracts. Department of Defense. Department of Homeland Security. Federal Reserve. Revenue exceeded $500 million. The company everyone in tech was watching. I still drove the Camry. Year 8, October 2023. Series D closed. $340 million at $1.8 billion valuation. We were preparing for IPO discussions in 2024. Forbes reached out for the 30 under 30 profile. And my family uninvited me from Christmas because I'd embarrassed them. The beautiful irony was that I'd deliberately maintained my modest lifestyle as a test. I wanted to see if my family loved Rachel the person or Rachel the achievement. I wanted to know if they'd show up when I appeared to have nothing. Every dismissive comment, every casual cruelty, every forgotten invitation had been noted, recorded, saved. I wasn't hiding my success. I was watching who deserved to share it. The Forbes interview happened on December 15th, 5 days after my mother's call. The journalist, Catherine Morrison, met me at Novice headquarters. Our office occupied 4 floors of a renovated industrial building in Boston's Seaport District. Exposed brick floor-to-ceiling windows, collaborative workspaces. We employed 340 people. This is remarkable, Catherine said, looking around the main workspace. How old are you? 29. I'll turn 30 in March. And you've built all this in 8 years? With my co-founders, yes. The interview lasted 3 hours. Catherine asked about the technology, the funding rounds, the client acquisitions. She asked about challenges we'd faced, mistakes we'd made, lessons we'd learned. Then she asked about my family. Your background information says you come from Greenwich, Connecticut. That's old money territory. Did your family support your entrepreneurial path? I paused. This was the moment. I could lie. I could deflect. I could protect them. Dad, I told the truth. My family doesn't know what I do, I said. They think I work at a small tech company making a modest salary. They've never asked for details. They've decided I'm the failure of the family, and they've never been curious enough to investigate whether that assumption is true. Catherine's pen stopped moving. They don't know you're worth $500 million? They don't know I co-founded Novice. They don't know my title is Chief Technology Officer. They don't know I hold 31% equity. They've never asked to visit my office. They've never asked about my work beyond still at that little startup? I smiled. 2 weeks ago, my mother uninvited me from Christmas Eve dinner because my presence would embarrass the family in front of my cousin's wealthy fiancé. She uninvited you? She said having someone who's still struggling to establish themselves would send the wrong message about our family's status. Catherine was quiet for a moment. That's going in the article. I assumed it would. Rachel, this profile is going to be read by millions of people. Your family will find out. I know. On Christmas morning. I know. You're okay with that? I thought about 8 years of dismissals. 8 years of being forgotten, overlooked, diminished. 8 years of testing whether they'd love me without achievement to validate my worth. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said. I'm doing this because I'm tired of hiding my success to protect people who never protected me. I built something extraordinary. I employed 340 people. I secured data for organizations that protect millions of lives. And I did it while my family was ashamed to include me in a photograph. Catherine nodded. When does this publish? Christmas morning. December 25th, 6 a.m. The days before Christmas I made careful preparations. First I called my lawyer Sarah Vance, who'd handled our corporate work since Series A. Sarah, I need you to prepare something for me. I want a complete documentation package of my equity stake in Novice, my role as CTO and the company's current valuation. Official letterhead, all signatures, everything legally binding. Is there a problem? No problem. I'm just going to need proof of something very soon, and I want ironclad documentation. I'll have it ready by December 23rd. Second, I called Marcus. The Forbes piece is going to create chaos in my personal life, I said. I need you to prepare a statement I can release if necessary. Something brief about maintaining privacy while building the company, something about family dynamics being complicated, something that protects my co-founders and employees from the drama. Consider it done. Want me to brief the team about potential incoming? Yes. Christmas Day is going to be busy. Third, I called my co-founders for a video meeting. Listen, you both know I've kept my family at arm's length from Novice. That's about to change in a very public way. The Forbes profile reveals that my family doesn't know about my role here. It might create some media interest in that angle. I want you both to be prepared. David laughed. Rachel, we've got your back. Your family has no idea what they missed out on. Let them find out with the rest of the world. Jennifer was more thoughtful. Are you sure you want to do this? Once it's public, you can't take it back. I'm sure. I've spent 8 years being small to make them comfortable. I'm done. Finally, on December 23rd, I did something I'd never done before. I went shopping. I bought a dress. A midnight blue silk dress from a designer boutique in Boston. Cost $3,800. I bought shoes to match. I bought jewelry, simple, elegant, expensive. I got my hair professionally styled. For 8 years I dressed down. Dressed modest. Dressed forgettable. For Christmas I was going to dress like the CTO of a $1.8 billion company. Because even though I wasn't invited to my family's dinner, I had somewhere else to be. Marcus had arranged something perfect. On Christmas evening, there was a holiday gala at the Four Seasons Boston, a charity event for tech industry leaders benefiting STEM education programs. The guest list included CEOs, venture capitalists, and several Forbes journalists, including Catherine Morrison. I RSVP'd yes. If my family was going to celebrate Christmas with old money, I'd celebrate with new money. The money that built things, changed industries, and employed thousands. On Christmas Eve, I spent the evening alone in my condo. Ordered takeout. Watched classic movies. Checked my phone periodically. Nothing from my family. No Merry Christmas Eve text. No wish you were here message. No acknowledgement at all. At midnight I checked the Forbes website. The article wasn't live yet. 6 more hours. I went to bed. My phone started vibrating at 6:02 a.m. The Forbes digital edition had gone live at 6 a.m., exactly as scheduled. By 6:02 the notifications were already cascading. LinkedIn, 47 new connection requests. Email, 83 new messages. Twitter, my mentions were exploding. Text messages from colleagues. Congratulations. Why didn't you tell us? Holy shit, Rachel. I made coffee and opened the Forbes article on my laptop. The headline read, "The Secret Billionaire. How Rachel Morrison Built a $1.8 billion empire while her family thought she was failing." The photo was perfect. Me in our offices standing in front of floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor, wearing my typical modest outfit, smiling calmly. The contrast between the humble appearance and the billion-dollar backdrop was striking. Catherine's article was brilliant. She detailed Novice's rise, our technology, our client list, our funding rounds. She included quotes from our investors, our clients, even from David and Jennifer. And then around paragraph 12 she included my family story. Morrison comes from wealth. Her father is a successful hedge fund manager in Greenwich, Connecticut. Her siblings are established in law and medicine. But her family doesn't know about her success. They think I work at a small tech company, Morrison explained. They've decided I'm the family failure, and they've never been curious enough to investigate whether that's true. 2 weeks before this interview, Morrison's mother uninvited her from the family's Christmas Eve dinner, explaining that her presence would embarrass the family in front of relatives bringing wealthy connections to the gathering. Having someone who's still struggling to establish themselves would send the wrong message, her mother reportedly said. Morrison, whose personal net worth exceeds $550 million, took the news calmly. I've spent 8 years testing whether my family would value me without achievement to validate my worth, she said. They didn't. The article continued with business details, technology insights, and future projections. But that section, those 3 paragraphs, were already being screenshot and shared across social media. By 7 a.m., Rachel Morrison was trending on Twitter. By 8 a.m. my phone rang. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately. That voicemail. Derek called. Amanda called. Aunt Caroline called. I turned off my phone and went for a run. When I returned at 10 a.m. I turned my phone back on. 127 missed calls. 286 text messages. I scrolled through them. Mom, 6:15 a.m. Rachel, call me immediately. Mom, 6:22 a.m. Rachel, this is not funny, call me right now. Mom, 6:45 a.m. Everyone is asking me about Forbes, I don't understand what's happening. Dad, 7:03 a.m. Rachel, we need to talk about this article. Call me. Derek, 7:18 a.m. What the actual fuck, Rachel? Amanda, 7:34 a.m. Is this real? Are you really a billionaire? Aunt Caroline, 8:12 a.m. Jessica is devastated. The Ashworths saw the article. We need to talk. I made more coffee. Checked social media. The story had gone completely viral. Tech Twitter was celebrating. Business journalists were requesting interviews. My LinkedIn had crashed from connection requests. And then at 11:30 a.m. my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera. My entire family stood in the hallway. Mom, Dad, Derek, Amanda. All dressed in Christmas finery, clearly having left their celebration to drive to Cambridge. I opened the door. Rachel. Mom rushed forward, arms outstretched for a hug. I stepped back. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, sweetheart. We had to come see you immediately when we saw the Forbes article. We couldn't believe. Why didn't you tell us? They crowded into my modest condo. The same condo Amanda had once called depressing. The same place Derek had offered to help me upgrade from. Dad was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. Rachel, this article says you own 31% of a company worth $1.8 billion. That's correct. It says you're the chief technology officer. Correct. It says your personal net worth is over $550 million. Approximately $558 million as of the Series D close, yes. And you never told us? Mom's voice was wounded. Your own family? I looked at her calmly. You uninvited me from Christmas 2 weeks ago because I'd embarrass you. That was before we knew. Exactly. The silence that followed was deafening. Derek broke it. Rachel, come on. You have to understand how this looks. You've been pretending to be poor for 8 years. I've been living modestly. There's a difference. I never lied about anything. I told you I worked in tech security. I told you I was doing well. None of you ever asked for details. You were deliberately hiding your success. Amanda said. I was testing whether you'd value me without it. That's not fair, Mom protested. You can't test your own family like that. I pulled out my phone and opened my photos. December 2019. Derek's birthday party. I asked if I could bring my business partner to introduce you. You said, and I quote, let's keep it family only. We don't need your work friends here. That business partner was Jennifer Wu, my co-founder. She's now worth $590 million. I scrolled. June 2020. Amanda's graduation from medical school. I mentioned I'd just closed a major contract and wanted to celebrate with you. Dad said, that's nice, honey, and changed the subject to Amanda's residency offers. That contract was $8 million from a Fortune 100 company. I scrolled again. November 2021. Thanksgiving. I tried to explain what my company does. Mom interrupted me to ask Derek about his latest case. You literally stopped me mid-sentence to talk about Derek's work instead. We didn't know it was important. Mom said. You didn't ask if it was important. You assumed it wasn't. You assumed I wasn't. Dad's voice was quiet. Rachel, we made mistakes. But you're our daughter. We love you. You love the daughter who's worth $558 million. 2 weeks ago, you didn't love me enough to include me in Christmas dinner. That was a misunderstanding, Aunt Caroline said, stepping forward. She'd been silent until now. Jessica was nervous about the Ashworths and we thought. You thought having your poor, struggling relative around would embarrass you. You were right. You should be embarrassed. Not because of me. Because of how you treated me. Amanda was crying now. Rachel, please. You're our sister. I've always been your sister. My net worth doesn't change that. But apparently, it's the only thing that makes me worth including. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Wall Street Journal wants interview. CNN wants you for tomorrow. Bloomberg asking for statement. Should I schedule? I looked at my family. I need you all to leave. Rachel, Mom started. No. Please. We're not done talking about this, Dad said. Actually, we are. You're done talking at me about what I should have told you. I'm done explaining why I didn't trust you with the most important thing I've ever built. I walked to the door and opened it. Merry Christmas. Enjoy your dinner with the Ashworths. I'm sure having a daughter worth $500 million will help make the right impression. Mom's face crumpled. That's not fair. Neither was uninviting me from Christmas. They filed out slowly. Derek tried to say something, but I closed the door before he could. I locked it and leaned against it, breathing heavily. My phone rang again. This time it was Jennifer. Rachel. Have you seen Twitter? We're trending #1 worldwide. I saw. Are you okay? The family stuff in the article. That was brave. I'm okay. Better than okay, actually. Good. Because Marcus just forwarded me interview requests from every major outlet. You're about to become very, very famous. I smiled. Send me the list. Let's talk about which ones align with our IPO timeline. Now you're thinking like a CEO. Merry Christmas, Rachel. Merry Christmas, Jen. I hung up and walked to my window. Cambridge stretched out below me, decorated with Christmas lights, beautiful and peaceful. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Mom. Please call me. We can fix this. I deleted it. There was nothing to fix. For 8 years I'd given them every opportunity to see me. They'd chosen not to look. Now the whole world was looking. And I was just getting started. The next 48 hours were a masterclass in consequences. Christmas Day evening, I attended the Four Seasons Gala in my midnight blue dress. The moment I walked in, the room shifted. People who'd been circulating stopped. Conversations paused. Catherine Morrison approached immediately, champagne glass in hand. Rachel, you look stunning. How are you holding up? Better than expected. Your family showed up at my door this morning. All of them. And I sent them away. She smiled. Good for you. Come on, there are some people who've been dying to meet you. She introduced me to venture capitalists who'd been courting novice for years, CEOs who wanted to discuss partnerships, journalists requesting interviews. I spent 3 hours networking with people who valued what I'd built, not who my family was. At one point I found myself talking with Margaret Chin, the CEO of a Fortune 50 tech company and one of the most powerful women in business. I read your Forbes profile this morning, she said. The part about your family, that took courage. It was just honesty. Honesty is courage in a world that prefers pretty lies. She paused. My parents didn't speak to me for 2 years after I dropped out of medical school to start my first company. They thought I was throwing my life away. Now they tell everyone they always knew I'd be successful. What did you do? I stayed successful. And I stayed honest about the journey. Eventually they either accept reality or they don't. But you can't build an empire while carrying people who don't believe in you. That conversation stayed with me. December 26th, the story exploded further. Wall Street Journal ran a feature, Tech's Hidden Billionaire, Why Rachel Morrison Kept Her Family in the Dark. Bloomberg covered it. TechCrunch did a deep dive on Novice's technology and valuation. The narrative that emerged was fascinating. Social media split into camps. One camp celebrated the working in secret angle. The idea that I'd built something extraordinary without fanfare or family pressure. Tech founders shared their own stories of family members who didn't understand their work. Another camp debated the ethics of testing family. Therapists weighed in on social media about family dynamics and unconditional love. But the dominant narrative was about class, old money versus new money, and the cruelty of families who value appearance over substance. My family became a symbol of everything wrong with old money attitudes. December 27th, my phone rang from an unknown number. I answered. Ms. Morrison? This is Bradford Ashworth III. I nearly dropped my phone. Jessica's fiancé? Yes. I'm calling because I owe you an apology. I had no idea your family had uninvited you from Christmas because of me, because of my family's expectations. That's unconscionable. I was silent, shocked. I want you to know that I told Jessica yesterday that any family who would treat you that way isn't a family I want to marry into. I've ended our engagement. You what? I ended it. My family has old money, yes. But we built that money through innovation and hard work 3 generations ago. My grandfather would be appalled to know his name was used to exclude someone like you, someone who's actually building something meaningful. He paused. I'm sorry you were hurt by this. And I'm sorry I was used as an excuse. Bradford, you don't have to. I do. And I did. I wish you the best, Ms. Morrison. I've already instructed my financial team to reach out to Novice about potentially investing in your Series E when the time comes. He hung up. I stared at my phone in disbelief. 30 minutes later, my phone exploded with calls from family members. Aunt Caroline, what did you do? Bradford ended the engagement. Mom, Jessica is devastated. She's saying you ruined her life. Derek, Rachel, you need to fix this. Call Bradford and explain. I turned my phone off again. I didn't ruin Jessica's life. She ruined her own engagement by being part of a family that excluded people based on perceived wealth. Bradford Ashworth III, despite his old money pedigree, had more integrity than my entire family combined. December 28th, I received a letter via courier. It was from my father, handwritten on his personal stationery. Rachel, I have spent 3 days trying to understand how we got here. I have read the Forbes article 17 times. I have read every comment, every think piece, every social media discussion about our family. I want to tell you that we didn't mean to hurt you. I want to tell you that we always loved you. I want to tell you that we simply didn't understand. But those would be excuses. The truth is that we valued achievement over character. We valued appearance over substance. We valued what you could do for the family's image rather than who you were as a person. Your mother is devastated. Your siblings are confused and hurt. Your aunt is furious about Jessica's broken engagement. But none of their feelings matter as much as this. You were right. You built something extraordinary while we dismissed you. You proved yourself while we doubted you. You succeeded while we predicted failure. And when your success became public, our first thought wasn't pride. It was how we could benefit from it. I am ashamed. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect reconciliation. I'm writing because you deserve to know that I finally see what I couldn't see before. You didn't need us to succeed. But we needed you to matter. I'm sorry we failed you. That. I read the letter 3 times. It was the most honest thing my father had ever said to me. It also didn't change anything. 6 months later, I stood in the New York Stock Exchange wearing a custom navy suit, watching Novice Analytics go public. The IPO priced at $32 per share, valuing the company at $4.2 billion. My stake was now worth $1.3 billion. Jennifer, David, and I rang the opening bell together. Our 340 employees cheered from the trading floor. Our investors celebrated. Our clients sent congratulations. My family wasn't there. I'd invited them actually. Sent formal invitations through my lawyer in March. Mom declined via text. We don't want to intrude on your professional moment. The truth was simpler. They were ashamed to face the public scrutiny. After the Forbes article went viral, our family dynamics had become a case study in business schools, psychology courses, and family therapy sessions. The Morrison family case was taught at Harvard Business School as an example of how families can damage high-performing members through exclusion and dismissal. My mother couldn't attend a charity luncheon in Greenwich without someone asking about that Forbes article. My father had resigned from 2 boards when members kept bringing it up. Derek and Amanda had both reached out several times. Derek apologized genuinely. Amanda sent long emails about family therapy and healing. I'd responded politely but maintained distance. The person who surprised me most was Jessica. She'd called in February, 3 months after Bradford ended their engagement. Rachel, I need to apologize. Actually, I need to do more than apologize. I need to thank you. For what? For exposing exactly who I'd become. Bradford was right to end things. I was so focused on marrying into the right family that I forgot to be a decent human being. I excluded you because you didn't fit my image of success. That's unforgivable. Jessica. Let me finish. I've spent 3 months in therapy. Real therapy, not just venting to a counselor. I'm learning that I constructed my entire life around other people's approval. I don't even know what I actually want. She paused. I enrolled in a master's program. Social work. I start in the fall. Social work. I want to help families that are struggling. Real struggling, not can't afford the right country club. Struggling. I want to do something that matters. We'd met for coffee after that. Started rebuilding something, not the cousin relationship we'd had before, but something more honest. Now at the NYSE, watching our stock ticker, envious, flash on screens, my phone buzzed. Jessica, watching the live stream. So proud of you. You did this. Bradford Ashworth 3. Congratulations, Ms. Morrison. Told you we'd invest in Series E. Looking forward to our partnership. Marcus, stock up 34% in first hour. You're officially a billionaire. How does it feel? I looked around the trading floor. At Jennifer, who'd believed in our technology from day one. At David, who debugged code at 3 a.m. in Jennifer's basement. At our employees who'd built this company into something that mattered. I thought about my family, absent but finally honest about why. I thought about 8 years of testing, watching, building in secret while being dismissed as a failure. I thought about the choice I'd made to value authenticity over approval. And I realized something. I wasn't relieved that they finally saw my success. I was relieved that I'd stopped needing them to. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined, but something made me answer. Rachel Morrison speaking. Ms. Morrison, this is Governor Williams's office. The governor would like to know if you'd be available for a meeting next week to discuss a new STEM education initiative she's launching. She was very impressed by your Forbes profile and your commitment to educational access. I smiled. I'd be honored. Have your office send the details to my assistant. After I hung up, Jennifer appeared at my elbow. Everything okay? Everything's perfect. Governor wants to meet about education programs. Of course she does. You're Rachel Morrison, billionaire tech CEO who built an empire while her family thought she was failing. He grinned. Never gets old. It really doesn't. We watched the stock ticker together. NVS climbing, climbing, climbing. Hey Rachel. Jennifer said quietly. Yeah. I'm glad you kept a secret from them. I'm glad you protected what we built until it was strong enough to speak for itself. Me too. And I'm glad you're my friend, not just my co-founder. I looked at her. My actual family, the one I'd chosen, the one that had showed up when I appeared to have nothing. Me too, I said. My phone buzzed one more time. Mom, watching the stock exchange coverage. You look beautiful. I'm sorry I'm not there. I understand why. I love you. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, I love you too. But love isn't enough anymore. It has to be accompanied by respect, curiosity, and belief. When you're ready to offer those, we can talk. I hit send and put my phone away. The stock ticker showed NVUS at $43.50, up 36%. Jennifer raised her champagne glass. To novice. David appeared with his own glass. To the team. I raised mine. To building things that matter with people who believed in us when we had nothing to offer but potential. We clinked glasses. Below us, the trading floor roared with activity. Our company, our creation, our proof that success isn't about where you come from or who believes in you. It's about what you build when no one's watching. And I'd built something extraordinary. The Forbes cover that had exposed my family's cruelty was framed now, hanging in our office lobby. Not as a trophy of revenge, but as a reminder. The people who dismiss you when you're building are rarely the people you want celebrating when you've succeeded. I'd learned that lesson at Christmas. And I'd never forget it.